Hi, everybody. This is Noelle for Petitti Garden Centers, and we are at our Oakwood Village store. And thank you, Stella, for setting the runway for us. We are going to talk about June blooming perennials today. So, this is part of our blooming calendar series with perennials. And so, what we're going to look at are plants coming into color in June and/or continuing into the month of June too. So hopefully as we continue to do these segments, you'll see how the perennial garden kind of changes, contrasts and expands and contracts and all those types of things. But we'll show you the prime plants for your June blooms in the garden in Northeast Ohio. Now remember, in the garden center, we are about a week or two ahead of normal bloom schedule. So things like Asiatic lilies, which we'll talk about in a moment, they are obviously up and blooming and budded and looking awesome. Whereas in your garden, they might be 2 weeks behind and they might just be all green. So do be aware of that. Okay, so we're a little bit ahead, but that's good. So you can kind of plan what you want your plants for June to be like. So it is June is perennial gardening month, so of course we're gonna dive right in here. Now, this combination that we have here that Stella set up for us, this is for full sun conditions. This is going to be for 6 or more hours of direct sunlight here. We have this beautiful Asiatic lily. This is called Tiny Nugget. This is part of the Lily Look series. We've talked about this many, many times. These Asiatic lilies are going to have very short, kind of sharp lance leaf leaves. Then they're going to have flowers that open up to the sky. If you see an oriental lilies look more like trumpets. So they open up off to the side or look out to the side, not up to the sky, okay? Asiatics also are a little bit more compact. This series, especially the Lily Look series, is anywhere from, let's say, 6 all the way up to about 18 inches, but very compact in the landscape. So really, really beautiful. They are very good as far as butterfly attractants too. So just be aware, and lots of different colors, rainbow of colors with them. So we'll show you more of those. With the lilies, goodness, they are a bulb plant. So just remember full sun conditions, well-drained soil. That's always going to be great for them. So kind of mound up that area when you are planting the lilies because they want to have good drainage. If you have poor drainage where you plant bulb type plants, they're going to rot. So that bulb gets real mushy. It won't produce for you and you won't have success with it. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you're planting them. Another plant that we have here is actually catmint. So catmint is Nepeta as well. Very, very popular plant for the landscape. It's very aromatic. It has lovely periwinkle blue flowers to it. This variety is Persian blue. We talk about it all the time. We also talked about catmint in the month of May for the May blooming calendar. And absolutely, it'll start blooming for you in May and will move right into June for you, give you lots of reliable color. And we see plenty of folks that are, driving around their communities and what have you, and they see catmint in bloom end of May, beginning of June, and they really start to come in. So this is going to be a real popular plant, very, very low maintenance, very deer resistant and bunny resistant for us. So it's really nice. This next plant that I wanted to show you, this is Forever Purple Coral Bells. Now, you will see lots of different varieties of coral bells. We grow a rainbow of colors. Again, this one, Forever Purple, is really, really gorgeous in the respect that it has a low mounded habit to it. The foliage is a lovely deep plum color. It is very, very rough. So when you pet the coral bells, and I always suggest this, make sure that you're getting rough foliage types, fuzzier foliage types, especially if you have deer browsing in your neighborhood. And then look at the fluted leaves or ruffled leaves. Really beautiful texture on this plant. It does bloom in June, so you will start to see their little scapes come up, their flowering scapes come up, and their blush pink bells growing from there. This plant maybe is 12 inches tall foliage wise. When the scapes come up, it might be 18 inches tall. So it's still a very compact variety. Obviously, you can tell very nice mound of foliage, really, really beautiful, and will always do very nicely either in sun, part shade, or shade. You can really grow these coral bells just about anywhere you want to put them. Again, well-drained soil is a good key for these. And then also mulch around the base just so they keep their roots cool, but also protected as well from winter freeze and thaw. So we have to remind you about that too. But great combination. The Nepeta, the Asiatic lilies, and the coral bells. This is just a combo. So we've got two perennial plants that look awesome in June. This first one is Golden Sphere. Golden Sphere is a very compact Coreopsis. You can tell doubled flowers here, really, really gorgeous. And look at all the buds. So they're starting to open again, but fully budded. These plants do a great job for us in the perennial garden in Northeast Ohio. There are so many different varieties of Coreopsis, some compact and very petite, some much larger and taller, all different colors, oranges, pinks, reds, and of course yellows. And so Golden Sphere is one of the earlier bloomers. Believe it or not, it did start in late May, but will obviously come into full bloom in June. And boy, it is just nonstop flowering. It is absolutely wonderful. These stems are a little bit shorter. I do like to use them for cut flowers. They make an excellent cut flower, but you want to put them in a little bud vase because of those short stems. Other than that, they will really fill out and do a great job for you. Again, full sun conditions for this. Coreopsis we use as a deer resistant plant. We use it as a pollinator attractant. Really wonderful. This, along with this spiky Veronica. So Veronica is also known as Speedwell. This is Veronica spicata. This is Giles Van Hess or Hees. This is a great pink variety. If you're looking for a dependable sort of medium pink in the perennial border, this plant is fantastic. And I'll tell you, with Veronica, there are several different varieties. You will see them with the pink shades, also blues, blue shades as well, from dark navy to a little bit lighter blue too. There are Veronicas that are ground covers as well, and so they'll bloom in June too, all really appreciating sunny conditions. Some will be shorter, some will be taller, so it just kind of depends what you like. I'd say Giles is probably somewhere around the 12-inch mark when it really starts to fill up. And again, just depending on the variety you choose, you can get different heights. But that spiky texture is really cool in the perennial garden, especially when you couple it with something that's sort of low and mounded and sort of globe form. So this is going to be a really nice combination. Veronicas do attract pollinators as well. As far as deer resistance, kind of 50-50 for the most part, but they will work out really nicely for each other. And then right behind me, I wanted to show you just a little bit different color scheme. We were talking about the coral bells, the lilies, and then maybe a different textural plant. So here, instead of having that bright yellow with the periwinkle catmint, and then also the purple coral bell, this is the same. It's forever purple coral bell, but look at these beautiful white lilies. This is going to be a cross between an Easter lily and an Asiatic lily. This is called Summer Snow. And Summer Snow is pure white, little bit of a brown anther to them, but my goodness, really beautiful. They do grow up a little bit taller than the tiny nugget that I was talking about earlier, closer to about that 2 foot mark in the garden. But boy, combined with those coral bells, really, really beautiful. And this Artemisia, and it's not a blooming plant, granite, but this is Powis Castle Artemisia, and the texture is just absolutely gorgeous, with the kind of the solid spiky texture of the lily and then that ruffled texture of the coral bell. Really, really beautiful. And you can keep this texture and this color in the garden all year round. So a great complement with any of your June bloomers. 3 different plants I wanted to show you for June blooming. Daylilies, of course. And this, of course, is our Stella d'Oro daylily, extremely popular daylily, repeat blooming, compact. Look at all of the buds. And of course, this daylily is going to keep blooming and blooming and blooming through the season. Just remember our tip for daylilies, especially the repeat bloomers, is once those flower scapes have finished, and there's probably 4 or 5 different buds on the scape. Once those flowers have finished, go ahead and cut that scape down, okay? All the way down as low as you can go. Reason being is those finished flowers will kind of stay on, their seed pods will stay on, and you'll think, oh, it's going to come back and repeat bloom. They do so much better if you remove those seed pods, remove those scapes so they can produce more energy and more flowers for you, okay? With the daylilies, again, we get that lovely grassy kind of lance leaf foliage. Really, really beautiful. Did you just see did you just see the bird come out on the arborvitae? So needless to say, daylilies just starting in June. You're going to see all of the colors and varieties slowly but surely open June and into July. With repeat bloomers, you will see if they open in June like Stella has, you will continue to see them go July, August, and beyond, okay? So this is just the beginning of daylily season. Really, really good trumpet flowers, good for the hummingbirds, good for pollinators as well. Plenty of pollen in the daylily flowers. Two, some have a nice fragrance. Some don't smell like anything, so that's okay too. Just be aware you want to protect your daylilies. They will get eaten just like the lily family. So if I forgot to mention that, sorry about that. But lilies always need to be protected around here in Northeast Ohio. The next plant that I wanted to show you is delphinium, okay? A common name would be larkspur, if you've ever heard of larkspur before. Larkspur to me is more of the annual type of plant in this family. This is a true delphinium. This is Delgenius Kingsley. And boy, is it a huge double purple flower. On the outside, it's sort of electric blue, inside deep purple, and a little bit of white right at the center. So really, really beautiful plants. The Delgenia series is a newer series, a little bit more compact, very, very strong stems. So they are meant to go out and grow in the garden. Again, well drained, richly amended spots. They actually like a little bit neutral to basic soil pH. That's what they like. And they are meant to go out there and not need support. But I'm always going to tell you with any of your taller spike blooming plants like delphinium, foxglove, those types of plants, maybe a tall hollyhock or what have you, make sure that you do have at least like a fence or something that's going to cut down the wind around them. Or, of course, go ahead and put your supports in because that's always, we always have wind around here in Northeast Ohio. And this one's just a gorgeous one. Now, I wanted to show you, they call it delphinium, meaning dolphin, because of the little buds. They look like dolphins when they're just, really nice and tight. But with this variety, look at the side shoots that are already developing. So if you want your delphinium to continue blooming for you after this full spike has bloomed out, go ahead and don't hesitate and cut it to a side shoot let that side shoot develop. When that one is totally, finished, go ahead and go down to the next side shoot. So these will keep developing flowers for you throughout the season, but again, starting in June, okay? The other one, and of course, we've mentioned coral bells before, and this is one of our favorites. This is peach flambe. Peach flambe, beautiful ruffled foliage. This goes through a lot of color changes, and I always mention that. You will have very as kind of soft yellows, amber colors, peachy colors. On the back side, you'll get kind of a raspberry purple to them too. Beautiful, changeable type of coral bell. Again, for sun, part shade, shade will do really, really nicely. And that contrast again, that nice solid ruffly foliage along with this kind of maple leaf, cut leaf foliage is really, really beautiful in the landscape, along with that spiky daylily. So try this trio. Really, really beautiful. All the daisies start blooming in June. Well, I should say late May, but really open up in June. And so look for your different daisy families. That's your composite family or aster family. And I'm going to tell you, they're all wonderful for the pollinators. So do make sure you look through the garden for daisies. And they're really, really great as far as deer resistance too. So we've got lots of different daisies. So I'm going to show you those today, coupled with a couple of different other varieties of perennials. And they make wonderful plants in the garden, especially for sunny spots. They really want to be out in those full sun conditions. Again, well-drained soil is always great, but they can usually tolerate clay soils as well. This one in the front is going to be Gaillardia or blanket flower, okay? Gaillardia is a native plant. It is a beautiful, very compact. This variety, or this series, I should say, is called Spin Top. We've talked about it many times before. There's about 4 or 5 different colors in the series, and this one's called Red. Now you can tell it is kind of a rusty or rustic red, but really, really beautiful. My gosh, the petals are just doubled, and the foliage on Gaillardia is very rough and hairy. So again, leads to that repellency or resistance with deer, but really wonderful. Gaillardia, again, tough places. Like, it likes to grow down by the mailbox. It really likes kind of dry, sunny, hot areas. Do give it some good drainage so it can drain out. The rest of them, they're pretty good as far as clay soil is concerned. Right above it is going to be your standard Shasta daisy. This is actually a leucanthemum. And these daisies, there are so many different varieties. What we're looking at right here is called White Lion. And White Lion is classic as far as the white rays or petals on the outside, the bright yellow center with this daisy. The rays are doubled, almost tripled on this daisy, so it gives it a little bit more showiness, if you will. But White Lion is fairly compact. So maybe growing about 14 inches in the garden. Really, really wonderful. Obviously cut flower, plenty of use for that. And again, with daisies, cut them and they will come back and they'll produce more. But what's interesting about White Lion is it kind of grows up over its dead. And it sounds really weird, but we used to talk about that with sun patience. It's like the lower layer would start to, kind of drop or, fall off. And then the new buds would just kind of cover over the top. It's the same thing with this daisy. It just keeps on growing on top the old buds. So if you don't get out there and deadhead, guess what? It's just going to kind of cover it right over. So that's pretty cool with this newer variety, White Lion. But there's so many other types. There's a yellow like Goldfinch or Sweet Daisy Isabel. There is larger, slightly larger varieties or maybe taller varieties like Becky. You have things like Whoopsie-Daisy and all different types. So we love the daisies. And again, they grow so well and so easily for us in Northeast Ohio. They have good deer resistance, again, pollinator attraction. So really great plant to have around. And boy, when you couple them with things like this ferny yarrow, this is Achillea or yarrow. This is one of the beautiful color types. We usually see yarrow in yellow, typically, like moonshine is our typical yarrow that works really, really nicely. But this one's pomegranate. And boy, you know, deep red to pinky flowers. Again, ferny foliage with this really solid composite flower is really, really gorgeous. The textures really mend together. They both like the same things. They both make great cut flowers. This one makes an excellent dried flower, is aromatic. So again, there's lots of wonderful things to plant these daisies and your yarrow together. The other plant that I have here is lobelia. This is your cardinal flower, but it is not going to bloom until July. But we wanted to show you the color and the texture on this one. Again, just melding really, really well with the blanket flowers, the daisies, and the yarrow. And then I wanted to show you one other coreopsis because this is very different from golden sphere that I showed you earlier. This is the tick seed type of coreopsis that you'll often see in the garden. And again, a little bit taller. This one's called Route 66. I love it with that yellow and red bicolor, very, very bright and sunny. Would go very well with this combination, again, because of that ferny foliage. And again, just filling in with the daisies. You can cut this. It does a very nice job as a cut flower, but again, long blooming, loaded with buds, will continue through the season and will just keep on giving your pollinators a lot of pollen too. We are by some of the other odds and ends that you'll see coming into bloom in July and excuse me, in June in Northeast Ohio. So sorry, folks, I jumped ahead 1 month. So for June, you're going to find the allium. Now, this is all foliage right now. And you probably are familiar with the giant allium that will usually bloom in May. This is a little bit different. These are going to be shorter allium for the garden again, but really nice, good growers. So you're seeing the foliage on bobblehead right now, but bobblehead, when it comes up, you'll have flowers probably about 30 inches tall, sort of a white to blush, nice sized head allium flower. And then again, attractive to the pollinators, deer resistant, really, really wonderful. So do look for those allium. There's millennium, which is really popular, serendipity, that's really popular as well. So we'll show you the pictures of those. Other things that you can look forward to, the lavender. So lavender had a rough winter for us this year, but if you're cutbacks and go ahead and let them reflush, they will fill out for you. This large blue bloomer is Vincenza blue. It really is a beautiful variety. Maybe in the garden, 12 to 14 inches, not very tall at all, but again, very fragrant. And there are so many different varieties. One of my favorites is Phenomenal, which is right behind Vincenza Blue. It hasn't started blooming yet, but it's got some of the longest cut stems, so it's really wonderful. Another thing that you should look for in the garden are the geraniums. And of course, these are your perennial geraniums. I have Roseanne here. Roseanne is a fantastic variety. Low mounding, beautiful 2.5-inch flower, cup-like flower. And really with Roseanne, it never looks great in the pot, I'm going to tell you, but out in the landscape, it is really gorgeous and can take full sun to part shade and really do a beautiful job of blooming all season long for you. Very, very easy. A smaller geranium that I have here is called Max Fry. This is Geranium sanguineum, and it is really compact. You can tell the foliage is very prostrate. Maybe Max Fry grows to 6 inches tall, but again, once it starts blooming these hot pink flowers, it really keeps on going all season. It really is a wonderful plant to have in the garden. The penstemon that I have right behind me is called Red Rocks. Red Rocks is kind of a medium height, really, really beautiful. Penstemon is known for having 5 stamens, so stamen, so 5 stamens. Usually the 4th stamen is usually hairy, or excuse me, the 5th stamen is usually hairy, so that's why it gets its little common name, beard tongue, if you've ever heard that before. Red Rocks is a great repeat blooming variety. Down below, there are some shorter varieties. This is Blue Rock Candy. Um, and then there are taller varieties that we really love, like Onyx and Pearls. The older variety, Husker Red, we used to grow a ton and still have a little bit around, but Onyx and Pearls is kind of the improvement on that one as well. So gorgeous bloomers into June. We'd be remiss if we didn't show you the colors available in the shade garden in June in Northeast Ohio. And so we wanted to show you obviously a combination of coral bells, but also the fern leaf bleeding hearts are phenomenal at this time of year. Fern leaf bleeding hearts are going to be a lot shorter. They are going to have very fine ferny foliage to them. Flowers are going to pop up. They have a little bit of a different look from the classic bleeding heart, but boy, do these guys tolerate more sun and also bloom way longer than your classic bleeding heart. When the heat comes on, usually your classic bleeding heart will kind of die back and melt away. These will keep on blooming usually through August. So again, for plants that sort of start in May and continue into June, fern leaf bleeding heart's going to be great. I have pink diamonds. I also have the luxuriant variety here. So a little bit different look, a little bit different foliage texture on both of them. Choose one or the other or both, and they'll do fantastic for you in shady spots. A wonderful complement for our June bloomers in the shade are going to be the Astilbe. They just get started in June, and there are actually several species of Astilbe that will grow at and bloom at different times to kind of extend your blooms in the shade. Some of the first ones are this little short one. This one's called Sprite. Sprite was Perennial Plant of the Year in the 90s, I believe, but really, really compact. Again, ferny foliage and then upright plumes that are maybe about, I would say, 6 to 8 inches when they really get going, but a nice soft pink, really beautiful, kind of an edger, if you will. And then right behind it is one of the most popular, and it's actually one of the oldest varieties. This one's called Fennel. Fennel is a nice red variety, really, really beautiful. As you can see, it's budded. When it opens, it does turn a little bit softer red color, but honestly, the red stems, the red veins in the foliage, really, really beautiful. This is an Arundesii variety, so sort of early to mid season with those. And then the one right next door, this is Stilby, is actually called Hot Pearls. It's a Chinensis type. If you've ever heard of, oh gosh, there's so many different varieties and I just lost it, Taylor. Volcano Visions, that's what it is. So we just had a new variety called Visions Volcano. If you've ever heard of the Visions series, and I know I've talked about it before, there's several different colors. The Vision series is part of the Chinensis, and the Chinensis species, they do bloom a little bit later. They have very, very thick foliage, very thick stems, and when their flowers come up, they're very, very full and candle-like. So you'll see all these types of Astilbe, and again, all of them benefit that shade garden, you know, filling out and blooming June and into July for the most part. The Chinensis can go into August, early August, but really, really wonderful. That fuzzy, ferny foliage texture is great for deer resistance. Their dark colors and then also light colors are very attractive. The hummingbirds love the deep reds and the Astilbes, but you'll see pollinators around the Astilbes as well. And then you can't do any better with the large leaf texture of some of these coral bells. This is Mega Caramel. It is obviously, as you can tell, a very large leaf variety compared to a standard leaf variety. Mega Caramel, and this one is called Northern Exposure Lime. Mega caramel in the garden will grow somewhere around 20-24 inches, big mound. So a little bit further into the landscape border, maybe middle border. Northern exposure lime, maybe around the 14-inch mark, low and beautiful. Just remember with your lime varieties, these can get burnt in too much sun. We grow lime Ricky, we grow guacamole, we grow lots of different lime varieties. But we'll tell you, these are the ones that if you leave them out in too much sun, they will get some burnt edges and things. So do be aware of that. Again, when you choose your coral bells, make sure you're feeling the foliage so you can see how rough they are. The rougher, the better as far as your deer resistance is concerned. And just, my gosh, enjoy all of the blooms in June.